Hello and welcome to Zlane channel. In this video, I'm going to share a tip from Mirkhan which is applicable for all floors. It's basically not really a tips but more likely to be a checklist. So the first thing about before you're going into the Mirkhan, one thing you might need to take note is to go into your setting and under the autoplay options, auto use HP potions, make sure that you actually extend it to 85, so make it up to the maximum. This is quite an important thing here. This because if you go into the Mirkhan, you will see that, let's say, every 5th or 10th floor itself we have a mini boss or maybe some roadblock. So some of you might have tried Mirkhan, and I believe you guys also have some roadblocks on the 5th or 10th floor. So this is quite important because when the mobs hits you and your HP actually deducted a lot and you might need to recover your HP quickly, so that's where you should actually use the 85%, set it to the max. Mirkhan is something that has the time calculations, so if you set it to the max auto HP 85%, so your death chances is lower down, so it actually just drink up potions whenever you need, and you can also save some time. So that 1 second critical, it might actually save you and get you a pass to the next floor. And you can see that in my Mirkhan right now, I'm stuck with this little hippogriff here, and for this kind of monster here, you might also need to set your auto potions here on below to the 30%. So you can see that I have 215, that potion is actually 30% potions, so you could actually set it to 30% HP pot because the boss there actually hits quite hard, and you might also want to save up some time by drinking the 30% HP pot here. And for this 30% HP pot, you can actually get from chaotic entrance. So if you go into some hard mode of chaotic entrance, just take a note on the chest you get from the sea itself. It has chance that you could also get the 30% HP pot from the chest itself, or you could also get it from Tira's map. So if your guild are actually doing the guild raid, Tira's also drop this 30% HP pot. Same for field raid, so it's actually drop on the floor, so make sure you pick it up. So this is the first tip. The second one is actually on your buddy. So if you go into your buddy sections, so focus on the rare and heroic buddy. So if you doesn't have any heroic buddies, so you might need to pick the rare one. Let me just go into the heroic one. So if you click on Woundhawk, he actually has damage to common and elite monster here. So you can see that the percentage added to the damage, which also help you. So this is actually depends on every individual. So if you feel a Mirkhan, make sure that you check on, make a record. So just make a simple record that how much time you have spent on the Mirkhan. Notice on the boss HP, so or maybe how many mobs you have killed over how many to achieve to pass the Mirkhan. So if from there you are lacking of damage, so you could actually use buddies that help you on the damage, like the Woundhawk. So this is something that help you to boost up your damage. If you need something like to defense, so if you would like something defense, if you would like something defense, use the defense buddy to boost up your defense. And there's also the rare one. So I have my Kipro here, and it actually helped me to add defense again to the monster itself. So make sure that you change your body before you go into Mirkhan, and also for your pet. So pet is actually, for Char Archer itself, pet is actually critical. So make sure that you select the correct pet. So right here I usually use the fox for the Mirkhan because it deals critical damage, and I also have something that add critical damage to pet. Let me see, where's my ring? Yep, so I also have options that add critical damage for my pet critical rate. So yeah, for Char Archer, if you would like to pass the Mirkhan easily, you can actually re-roll your equipment options to the pet options. And for others job or others stat build Archer, just make sure that your equipment also play an important role. Make sure that you roll to something good stat like the damage increase, critical rate, physical attack for those melee attack job, and magic attack for those magicians such as mage and alchemist. And you might also want to stat your critical damage, so make sure to check your equipment. And yeah, for pets, for others job, so if you are not a Char Archer, you might want to tame some pet that add up speed. So if you are going to kite the sorry, not the raid boss, the Mirkhan. So if you would like to kite something like the hippogriff, or so you want to add up your speed, but you do not want to waste a sculpture placement in your home. So what you can do is to tame a pet that actually add speed. So if you go into codex, you could actually go in a monster. So let's say for the bunny, it actually help you to increase the target move speed by 3%. It actually helps when you're trying to kite around the monster there. Same goes for the squirrel. But if you are not an archer, so if you are using a fox, because you do not have enough charisma there, so the pet is not really helpful. So make sure you tame the right pet. And so some pet actually helps to turn the target range, so this is not helpful here. You might also want something like increase physical defense. Nope. Let me just go into bush relic. So this is just some samples. So if you would like to add your physical defense using the pet options like this out here, it actually helps to increase owner physical defense by 100 and magic defense by 70. So this is something that helpful if you want to add defense for Mirkhan. So you can actually tame it, but for elk, it actually requests 60 charisma, and a lot of you might not have the 60 charisma there. So what you can do is wear something. I believe there's actually a pet that helps on adding defense for the for the user as well, for the character, not the pet itself. Because if you see this bison here, it's actually increased physical defense by 10. So this is actually adding to the pet itself, but not the user. So make sure that you read it correctly. And let's say you would like to tame the elk. So just now I talk about the elk. Where are you? Yeah, if you like to tame the elk, 60 charisma. So what you can do is to change your sculptures at home into something that add charisma. So if you go to sculptures, I just gave you a sample here. So let's say, yeah, 90, not agility, and so we could actually place some charisma sculptures before you tame the pet itself, so that you could actually add up charisma. And you also can use the seduce perfume. So let me just go into the guild hideout. Seduce perfume. So seduce perfume to tame the pet, make sure you're up to 60 and level up your pet before you go into the Mirkhan. Your pet might need resummoned. You might need to replace your sculptures after your pet have dead. So make sure that. So it takes a lot of time if you want something to add defense from your pet itself. But if you are good with the most movement speed one, just tame the bunny. So that's the easiest one there. Seduce perfume, material magic. Yep. So seductive perfume here is something that you can actually add your charisma for taming those pets that need a lot of charisma. And the next one would be the potions part. So before you go into the Mirkhan, make sure that you actually drink the potions before you are entering it, because it could actually save a lot of time. You can have the timing, so you might not want to waste that maybe 30 seconds, the first 30 seconds just to drinking part. So before you're entering to the Mirkhan, make sure that you actually have some once enriched elixir, or maybe this too, swiftness and haste elixir. Drink it ahead before you enter the Mirkhan, and make sure that you also drink the Grace elixir there to buff up. So it's stackable with the elixir itself. So Grey plus elixir, and also some food. So you might also want to have some food that actually boosts up your base stat. So let's say I'm an archer, I need some agility. So if you're a char archer, focus on food that add char. If you're a normal archer, or maybe you're a sculptor, you want to add agility, craft some. So cook up some food that help you to boost up your base stat here, so it will help a lot. And also for party buff, so if you go into the alchemist potions, so you could also craft some potions. So party buff, so make sure that you craft some potions like this one. It actually helps to add the attack by 100%. So if you would like to go to Mirkhan and you feel that you do not want to waste the party buff, just team up with your members, your friends, your guildmate to use the potions together to go into the Mirkhan. So it won't go to waste. You could also craft the defense potions plus 300. So there's actually 3 type of potions here. I wouldn't recommend the white one and the green one, because if you see here, it only at 20. For the green one here, it only at 50. So try to aim to craft the blue one here if you are fighting a strong boss there, because it at 100 here. And beside the party buff, the party potion, what you can do is team up with your guild member with it must be a different job one. So let's say archer, we have every job have a party buff in the skill. So let's say for archer, it's actually the wind's eye, and you can see that I could actually grant the following effect for party members: pierce attack. So if you would like to get the party buff, the skill from other class, make sure that you party up with your guild member or maybe friends before you enter the Mirkhan. So this could actually stack with the party potions and other stuff and boost up your attack just for the Mirkhan itself. And let me just change my screen to some screenshot on artist shop. So yeah, at here you can see that is actually the sculpture's party buff. So what sculpture did is actually help you to increase physical critical rate and magical critical rate. So it's also very helpful if you team up with sculptures, request them for the party buff before you go into the Mirkhan, because critical rate also quite important for the Mirkhan itself. And for the mage itself, it's much more on elemental attack. We might not need it at so I'm stuck on the 75th floor right now. Hippogriff, if you see the elemental attack, maybe you're a mage. Yeah, mage actually doesn't need other people to buff. So this is much more on the later stage of the Mirkhan. If you are trying to deal some elemental attack on the Mirkhan boss itself, you might need the help from the mage friend. But at the front part of the Mirkhan, I don't think we need this buff here. And alchemist actually help you to add the EVD rate and all elemental resistance. So if you are looking for some EVD, especially those who actually add on the agility in their skills, in their stat, and you would like to stack more EVD, you could actually team up with alchemists to have these party skills here. It might be useful. And paladin, so paladin is something that you might also need before you team up with a paladin, before you go into Mirkhan, because this actually reduce the pure resistance, critical hit resistance, and also the recovery HP for you. So it's actually a great deal here, because if the boss won't hit you with the critical, that will be the end for everything. So if you have a paladin friend, and you might need this buff here, because if you have the resistance, by that 5%, it might save you the game itself. And last one will be the warrior. Warrior actually helps to add maximum HP. So if you would like to add more HP, you could actually team up with a warrior. And back to the screen here, so that is actually the third point on the port buff and stuff. So the fourth point is actually take note on your skill cooldown. So what you need to do is to make sure that, so do not rush for the Mirkhan. Make sure that you take note on your buff effectiveness. So there's actually the minutes cooldown here. Make sure that it doesn't wait until maybe the last few seconds before you enter the Mirkhan. Mirkhan actually normally is around 5 minutes to 3 minutes, or maybe 3 minutes, depends on the floor itself. Make sure that your buff itself actually covers that whole progress, so without needing to rebuff, or let's say for archer itself, the dynamic duel here is actually just 3-minute buff. So if the buff is went off during the Mirkhan itself, it means that your attack won't reach the maximum, your pet don't do the damage, and you might have lost that chance. So make sure that your CDO are on cooldown before you enter the Mirkhan, and use the skill itself. Make sure you use the skill before you enter the Mirkhan, so that you have the maximum time to just focus on hitting the boss and dodge it. So this is for skill cooldown. And one thing about the skill itself is that you have to rearrange your skills. So you might need to rearrange your skill, depends on which floor you are, to make sure that so some of the skill you can see that the cooldown second here. So if you put the skill with lot of cooldown seconds, so if a skill that needs a lot of cooldown second, you might not have hit the optimal performance. So make sure that you actually rearrange your skill. So it depends on the floor, depends on your skill level. So let's say I have my heart hit here, 6 seconds, deal 240%, and I need to compare each of my skill with other skills to make sure that I select the best one. So let's say the enchant arrow. So the enchanted arrow here actually deals more physical attack and it has less cooldown. So this is one of my focus skill I need for the Mirkhan. I will just arrange it to the front page of anything. So it depends on you, and it also depends on your skill level. Make sure that you arrange the one that with the optimal one. Also make sure that so let me just go back to the normal map. So some Mirkhan floor you might need to use the semi-auto function. So if you go into the attack, make sure you use the semi-auto, and you might not want to trigger. So semi-auto functions is that it will use the skill but it won't attack the mob until you actually click on the mob itself. So let's see, semi-auto. So if I click on Hannah, so it will use the skill itself but it won't walk around and go hit at a mob. So in the Mirkhan is quite helpful because you might want to focus on some mob but not some in the Mirkhan itself. So let's say floor 77. If let's say I want to focus on just the Nagas, so I could actually just use the semi-auto, focus on one mob before killing another one. This could actually reduce the trigger of hitting too many mobs and causing you to die due to the aggro itself. Do not aggro too much mobs because they might just kill you before you complete the Mirkhan. And the fifth one is actually the sculptures placement at your home. So sculptures actually place an important things. Make sure that you use the right sculptures. So if you would like to check on the sculptures, what you should be placing, so if you focus on the accuracy, then you might need to use the accuracy sculptures. If you are focus on the critical damage sculptures, you might need to use the critical damage sculptures, like so, or maybe you would like to focus on the EVD. So make sure just go into the sculpture itself. Also, let's say cat sculptures actually helps to add critical damage. If you like to stack up those items, what you can do is just check the sculptures before you place it on your floor. But the most common sculptures that we will be using in a set is actually just, let me just go back to my home. So now I'm back to my home, and the set that most commonly used is actually the attack speed set sculpture. You might want to place this one, and also the attack sculptures. So this applicable to both to all job because it's attack. Physical attack only applicable to those melee attack and long range attack such as archer, but it doesn't add anything for mage or alchemist. So mage and alchemist might not want to use the stat here. And if you would like to add your EVD and accuracy, you could actually place this set here, and make sure you don't use something like item acquisitions here because it doesn't help on the Mirkhan. You do not want to waste that slot as well. What you can do is actually to place this here to add on HP, so you could not die easily due to the one hit critical from the boss. And for the floor sculptures itself, it's really based on individual build. What I will be placing is like the cat sculptures. Actually helps to add critical damage to the monster itself. I have my dragon here to add attack, and also con to help me to add some physical defense here. Also help me to add HP. So it it really depends on your personal build, which one you want to focus, and it also depends on your previous round and Mirkhan. Remember to take note of what you are lacking of in the previous Mirkhan, so you can actually just focus and maybe replace your sculptures or stuff, so that you could actually just compare with the previous round. So do not compare with others players, because the build is different from yours. Everyone have their own unique build, so people might get that build correct and they pass the Mirkhan. You have the same build, same sculptures placement, but you could not pass it because your build might be different from theirs. So customize your own build and just try it with your own. And the sixth one is actually about the rune. If you go into your bag itself, sculptures, so rune here is also plays an important part. So make sure that you use the correct rune here that says I have physical defense. If that floor Mirkhan is doing physical defense, physical damage to you, yes, physical defense is important. If the boss is dealing magical attack and you just equip the physical defense one, is something no point. So what you would like to do, if the boss is dealing magic damage, you will need to equip the magic defense rune rather than the physical one. So this is quite important. Switch everything. Depends on the Mirkhan floor you are actually challenging. And yeah, I guess this would be all for the Mirkhan tips. And yeah, one thing on the Mirkhan itself is, let me just enter it to take note. So you might want to kite around the map, and what you need to do is to make sure that you run around, try not to stuck on like this bone here. And so make sure that you are familiar with the Mirkhan floor map here, so you might not want to stuck in between here. And if you are using mobile, what you can do is to make sure that you increase your brightness. So I found out that when I increase my brightness here, it actually helps a bit, because I don't get stuck on those black color floor tiles here. Because if you put it into dim, you might find it that it's actually hard to differentiate the floor tiles, so which it cause you to have something that's stuck. And you can see that one more thing about it is the boss attack. So it actually indicates when it will use the skill attack. So let me just go back into my Mirkhan. So it has a little emotions on the top of it when it's trying to use some different attacks. So you can see the exclamation mark is that it actually noticed you and it's trying to kill you. And if it has a piece of mark on top of it, it will use some skill that is whenever it's trying to use some skill, it have something on top of it hit. So make sure that you take note on that and run away before it kills you. So especially to those short range attack players, you might need to take note on what's on top of it hit before it gets you. So yeah, so this skill here, you see that it's actually using skill, so make sure that you take note on what's on top of it hit, and this might be helpful. And yeah, for critical attack from the boss is something that we could not prevent, but just blast that doesn't use much of critical damage on you, so you could actually getting much more easier to pass the Mirkhan itself. And yeah, this will be all for my today's video, and remember to like this video if you think this content is helpful, and please remember to click on the subscribe button for much more upcoming content, and thanks for watching.